Before we begin, I need to ask something real for a second. If you've ever felt underestimated, ignored, or like people only see the surface of you and never your real effort, stay with this story till the end. Because what you're about to hear isn't just about a music group eating spicy wings. It's about pressure, pain, discipline, and how success can taste just as hot as those wings. Now let's dive in. Imagine sitting down at a table where the food is not just food, it's a challenge. A challenge designed to test your body, your mind, and even your emotions. Now imagine that table is covered with 80 wings, each one spicier than the last, and sitting across from it is one of the most famous music groups on the planet. Not just any group. A group that went from small underground stages to filling stadiums across the world. A group that many call a global phenomenon. But today, they are not here to perform. They are here to survive. And the only rule is simple. Eat the wings, answer the questions, and try not to break. Welcome to the world-famous Spicy Challenge show, where interviews turn into battles. And today, history is about to get even hotter. The studio is buzzing with energy. The table is massive, almost unreal, stacked with rows of glowing sauces that look harmless, but everyone knows they are not. The host welcomes the group with excitement, almost disbelief. Because what he is looking at is not just a band. It is a cultural movement. They've broken records in music, streaming, touring, and global influence. And now, they are sitting in front of something they cannot rehearse for. No choreography. No backup dancers. No second take. Just wings and truth. The host jokes, asking if they believe they can survive the heat. One of them smiles and admits honestly, "We might be the weakest here." Laughter fills the room. But underneath the jokes, there is tension. Because nobody knows what level of pain is coming next, the first wings arrive. They look normal, almost innocent. The group takes a bite. For a few seconds, everything is calm. Smiles appear. Some even nod in approval. "Easy," one of them says confidently. But spicy challenges are never honest at the beginning. They trick you. They relax you. They make you feel safe. And then, they strike. A slow burn begins in the back of the throat. A warmth turns into heat. And heat turns into warning. The group laughs nervously as they realize. This is just the beginning. As the heat builds, the conversation shifts. From fun questions to real stories. They talk about their journey. Not the glamorous version people see online, but the real one. The long nights. The endless rehearsals. The moments when they weren't famous, when they were just trying to survive in a competitive world. One of them shares how early days were not easy. Small rooms, few opportunities, and a dream that felt too big for the space they were in. But they kept going, because quitting was never an option. As they speak, they eat another wing, and the spice begins to match the emotion. Hotter food, deeper memories. Now the challenge is no longer fun. It is physical. Eyes start to water. Breathing changes. Hands reach for water more often. The host watches closely as the group slowly transitions from laughter to survival mode. One of them jokes through the pain. "This is not food anymore. This is a test." And he is not wrong. Because every bite feels like a small battle. But even in discomfort, they stay together, encouraging each other, laughing when someone reacts too strongly, pushing forward as a team. That is what makes them different. Even under pressure, they don't fall apart. They hold on to each other. Now the wings are no longer just spicy. They are overwhelming. The heat builds fast, hitting harder with each bite. The conversation shifts again. This time to success. The host asks what it feels like to go from small beginnings to becoming one of the biggest acts in music history. The tone changes. It becomes quieter. more serious. One of them explains that success didn't come without pain. There were moments of exhaustion, moments where their bodies were tired, but expectations were higher than ever. Even after concerts, they had to rehearse again the next day. No rest, no pause, just constant movement. They describe waking up after performances with ringing ears, swollen faces, and fatigue that never fully disappeared. But still, they kept going. Because fans were waiting. Because dreams don't wait for recovery. And as they speak, they eat another wing. The spice now feels like punishment, but they don't stop. The challenge becomes symbolic. Every wing feels like pressure. Every question feels like reflection. They talk about how many songs they recorded during their creative process. So many that even choosing final tracks became a full-time debate. Hours of listening, disagreements, replays, corrections, revisions. Not because they didn't know what they wanted, but because they wanted it to be perfect. That's the part people don't see. The perfectionism behind the performance, the discipline behind the dance, the exhaustion behind the smile. And still, they push through another wing. Now the spice is no longer just in their mouths. It is in their entire body. At this stage, things change. Breathing gets heavier. Eyes get red. Some reach for milk instantly. The laughter becomes less frequent. But the bond remains strong. They joke to survive the heat. They distract each other from the pain. One moment, they are discussing childhood memories. The next moment, they are questioning reality because of the spice. But even in chaos, there is unity. And that is what keeps them going. Because no matter how hard the challenge becomes, they are not facing it alone. Now comes the infamous level. The wings that change everything. The ones that separate confidence from reality. The moment the group takes a bite, silence falls for a second. Then it hits. Hard. Vast. Unforgiving. The reaction is instant. Sweating increases. Hands wave in the air. Water is no longer enough. Milk becomes survival. The room turns chaotic. But through it all, laughter still appears. Because even in pain, they find humor. And somehow, that makes it bearable. By now, the challenge is not about taste. It is about endurance. The final wings arrive like a warning. Everyone knows this is the peak. One bite, and everything intensifies. But instead of stopping, they continue. Because they have always pushed past limits. That is what made them who they are. Not comfort, not ease, but persistence. As they take the final bites, the studio becomes a mix of chaos and admiration. The host watches in disbelief. Because what he is seeing is not just a challenge being completed. It is resilience in real time. After the final wing, something shifts. The pressure slowly fades. The pain remains, but so does pride. They did it. Not perfectly, not comfortably, but together. And in that moment, the spicy wings become more than a challenge. They become a metaphor for everything they endured before fame, for every obstacle they overcame, for every moment they almost gave up, but didn't. As the episode comes to an end, the energy softens. There is relief. There is laughter again, but also reflection. Because this was never just about spicy food. It was about growth under pressure, about staying strong when everything burns, about finding strength in unity. The host thanks them for coming, and the group leaves not just as performers, but as survivors of something strange, funny, and unexpectedly meaningful. On the surface, it looked like a fun interview with spicy wings. But underneath, it was something deeper. A reminder that even the most successful people in the world face pain, pressure, and exhaustion. And still, they continue. They adapt. They endure. they rise. Because success is not comfort. Success is persistence through discomfort. And sometimes, it even feels like eating fire. If this story made you feel something, even a little, don't just scroll away. Think about your own journey, your own challenges, your own spicy wings in life. And remember this: you don't have to enjoy the heat, but you can survive it. If you want more powerful storytelling like this, subscribe, like, and stay connected. Because every story has a fire inside it. But only a few people choose to walk through it.